Hello, WM friends. Welcome to this month's mindfulness meditation. How does that sound? Sound okay? Good. I'm so glad you made your way here. And I wanted to start our session off tonight with a tiny little story from my dad. So, my dad is caring for both Waldenstroms and prostate cancer, and it's been challenging to say the least. He's in a clinical trial, he's going through a lot. And yesterday I visited him and he was in bed with a little, bowl next to him in case he felt like tossing his cookies. And, he just looked at me and he said, "Thank you for being here." And I could really feel that he meant it. So I was able to receive that thanks in that moment. And I just said, "You're welcome." And his response really surprised me. It was so mindful. He said, I'm glad that was the exact right answer. You know, when you say thank you and someone says, "Oh, no, it's really nothing." It's like the exchange doesn't really take place fully. So I'm going to be exploring simple exchanges like this one in tonight's session as a means by which to develop more gratitude in life. Like when we say thank you, to really actually feel that thank you. And when we are thanked, to really receive that thanks and maybe just say, "You're welcome." So, this development of gratitude is something we hear a lot about. I know Dr. Desad just talked about it in her wellness webinar last week, that we can affect our own well being by practicing gratitude. And we can affect things like neural pathways and in the brain, and we can release those feel good chemicals in the bloodstream. So those are some reasons. But let's get started here. I'm going to take care of my eyes to begin with. At the end of a day, my eyes are often tired, and it's also a way we can shift the perspective to more of an internal state. So if you're wearing glasses and you feel comfortable doing so, you could just take those glasses off for a moment. I'm just going to rub my hands together and we're going to just do something called palming. It's a very simple, effective technique to bring yourself into more of an internal state. So I'll loosely cup my palms over my eyes and begin to just be here in this moment exactly as I am. I want to just welcome you. You're welcome here in whatever state of being you're in, whether you're watching and waiting or undergoing treatment or recovering from treatment. You're welcome here. And you might just take a moment to really drink into the eye sockets, down the optic nerve, all the way to the brain. Just drink in a little bit of nourishment of the hands, the warmth, and maybe a little bit of that darkness. Drinking that in. And maybe just taking a moment to roll the eyes around. And as you're ready, maybe you want to keep the eyes closed or softly gazing and just release the hands down into the lap or by the sides. And we'll just begin by coming into the space that you're in. We're here to practice mindfulness as a community. So here we are in this community space together, whether you're here live or listening to this recording later. And as we come into a community space, there's a shift away from isolation, and there's a sense of shared purpose. So finding a posture while in your own particular room, and maybe just awareness of the fact that there are other people in other rooms doing the same thing. Our goal with mindfulness is it's really a state of being that we aspire to just simply be present to what is. So we're noticing, first of all, how am I sitting or how am I reclining right now? And I'm going to give my body a little bit of a scan and just allow those parts of the body where I tend to collect tension, or maybe I'm always effortful. I'm going to let those parts of the body just kind of be and maybe sink and soften into my support. So just taking a moment to adjust the posture. If you've been kind of pretty inactive today and you want to make any little movements, you're always welcome to move the body however you need to. So our goal in mindfulness is to just be present to what is. We're developing this habit of awareness, of observing, of watching. And this awareness can move all over the place. And the practice really is reining in the awareness and directing it to the places we want to. So we've just taken a moment to direct the awareness to the way the body is, feeling, the sensations in the body, not trying to change anything about those sensations in the body, but just noticing them, observing them. Maybe you're able to notice sounds in the room around you, or maybe outside of the room that you're in. And so we're just being present to the things that are actually happening in this moment and trying to create a bit of distance from that thing that is happening and our sort of internal reaction to it. So I might now shift my awareness towards my breath. And the breath is such a marvelous place to rest my awareness because it is always changing, just like everything. And I can just begin to really fully direct my attention to what it feels like for me right now to breathe. Just allowing the breath to fill the body. Noticing whatever is present for me about my breath. Maybe it's the sensation of air flowing in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils or the mouth. And drawing that air in, releasing that air out. Maybe I can just ask my belly to soften and let go a little bit so that I can get a deeper, fuller breath, but no pressure on that. I want to just be with my breath, flowing in and flowing out. And maybe you can notice the parts of the body that actually change shape from the breath moving in the body. Maybe it's, the chest or the rib cage. And we're just practicing, always coming back to that sensation of the breath. In this moment, I am breathing in, I am breathing out, and I'm training my mind like I would train a puppy with so much gentle, positive reinforcement. When my mind begins to wander away, I just gently, lovingly shift my awareness back to that thing I want to notice, that breath moving in, breath moving out. And this will help me just be more present so that I can more fully experience this richness of being alive. Practicing this staying present, you can always move back to the beginning of noticing the posture, noticing the room, and then the breath. And the awareness can just continuously shift. We're practicing observing, right? Where do I want to place my attention? Or where is my attention placed? And perhaps after a little while of doing this, we can become aware of the fact that we are aware, that this awareness itself is like a place of refuge. This awareness that sees all, knows all, and can help us develop a sense of equanimity as it notices and observes everything that's happening, the joy, the suffering, the discomfort, the ease. I'm just present with all of that, and I have this stepped back distance from it, developing my eye of awareness, right? I've been watching all of the Lord of the Rings lately, and the eye of Sauron, is something that came into my mind as I was describing awareness. Like it sees everything, it knows everything. Now, in this particular meditation, we can think of this as something good, right? That eye in the sky. So maybe you want to actually take a moment to let the awareness find your thoughts, right? And observing, shining the light of your awareness on the quality of your mind right now. What is my mind like? What are my thoughts like? And maybe it feels better to just rest your awareness on something else. So, in mindfulness, our goal is not to not think, right? Our goal is to be present. So, maybe if you're the type of person like me who has lots and lots of thoughts, when I begin to step back and actually observe them, I can kind of put them into categories. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about this type of thing again. I'm having this internal dialogue. And I can just imagine that little thought getting placed in a particular container. These are the types of thoughts that go into this place. And maybe it's like a boat, and that boat can just sail away until the next thought comes, observing it, putting it onto its matching little boat and sending it away off into the sunset. So we've covered many things in such a short time. We've been able to meditate on our posture, on our breath, on awareness itself, and on our thoughts. And we have stayed present for all of it, which doing this, the goal is to become more resilient, just to weather the ups and downs of being a human being, right? So we can be here, we can observe both the suffering and the joy with equanimity and observe these are simply states of being that one can experience, and each one is a gift in its own way. So let's begin to take a turn away from this mindfulness, and we'll come into what I've promised to be a gratitude practice. So I'm just kind of imagining I'm wiping the slate clean here, and I might even like take a sip of water or a sip of tea, maybe a little stretch. I could change something about the way I'm sitting or resting. And I'm going to come back into this community space, which, by the way, I am so incredibly grateful for. It's not too hard for me to find that feeling of gratitude when I think of this community, but that is what I'm going to be asking you to do for this next little while, is to find something in your life, whether it's big or small, that you're grateful for. So you can take a moment or two to just kind of allow that to percolate, finding one thing, small or large, that you're grateful for in your life right now. And really seeing if you can actually conjure the feeling in your body that goes along with this feeling of thankfulness, of gratitude. Seeing if you can conjure that feeling of gratitude. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you can draw that feeling in, allow it to intensify. And as you breathe out, you can allow that feeling to radiate, radiating out like the warmth of a flame or fire. So we're practicing conjuring the feeling of gratitude. So how do you do that? It's hard. Not dissimilar to a feeling of gratitude is a feeling of wanting to help somebody who is in suffering. For me, that feeling of tenderness. Maybe you want to envision your fur baby who needs your help, or if you're a parent or grandparent, that sort of tendril of support you want to unfurl towards that creature or that person, that feeling of warmth and tenderness. Or maybe you can, imagine that thing, that nice thing that someone did for you, and just really soak it up, soak it in, and keep on breathing it in, keep on radiating it out. And when we are expressing gratitude and receiving the same, our brain releases dopamine and serotonin. They make us feel good, enhance our mood immediately. We can get ourselves sort of happy from the inside through this practice, right? Finding that thing that gives us the feeling and focusing on it, intensifying it with the breath, inhaling it, and then radiating it out. Because, friends, this is not a vacuum, right? Your gratitude, I feel, and I soak that in and I give it back, right? We are all in this beautiful space together. And when I think of the neural pathways, strengthening themselves and perhaps ultimately creating a more permanent state of being that is grateful and positive, I also think of these tendrils that we have with each other. We can draw from at any time. So if you like, you can continue. Maybe you want to take 5 breaths in a row with me as a community, breathing in that gratitude, breathing out that gratitude, thankfulness, sending it out, receiving support through those tendrils, and sending out that support to others who may need it. And feeling this fabric of awareness that we have created together, this matrix of well-being. And that in and of itself, I can draw that in any time when I think of this community. So let's just begin to come back into some awareness of your body. Maybe you want to wiggle your fingers and toes or lick the lips, swallow, move the head from side to side, blink the eyes open. And if you're reclining and you're really, really comfortable there and you want to just stay there, you can stay there. If you want to sit up, I'd like to just seal our practice this evening with the sound of one Om, and allowing that Om to be a fabric of sorts that joins us. And you're welcome to create this sound for yourself in your own space or just listen. And I'm thanking you so much for your practice. Namaste.